So I'm just using what I have at home, and right now I have huge canvases, or I have this little 12 by 12, it's gesso board, so it's wood. It's a wood like cradle board, and it's gessoed over the front. So I just started with doing, you can even do, I did just gray. So you're gonna use a couple different grays. So sort of on the lighter side, and I did it maybe on the bottom quarter of the thing. Go ahead and do that. Just on like the bottom quarter-ish of it. And it doesn't have to be exact at all.
Gray.
You could make it lighter than this if you wanted to. I wouldn't go much darker than this, but it really doesn't matter. You can always change it. Like that's one of the things I love about acrylic paint is if you mess up, you can just paint over it and you can cover up mistakes really easily too.
Okay.
I oftentimes will finish a painting totally and then go back and then not like it, or stare at it for a long time and decide I don't like it, and then go back and do a whole different painting to the top of it. So you can always fix mistakes, or change a color slightly if you don't like it. But I just started with the bottom fourth of my board. And then while y'all do that, I'm gonna get some colors that I need.
Okay, so now you can do this, and she said just brush like the bottom part. Okay. And I'm gonna get some white and mix it in with my black to make gray. How's that sound? Oh geez.
Mine kind of blends in with the.
That's okay. That's it.
Did I add too little?
No, we can add more if you want. You can always squeeze out more.
I like how you put the towel there.
Yeah. Did you get some on the towel?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you guys still working on that?
Yeah, Noah decided to join.
Oh, good. So I just grabbed a few brushes. I don't know what I have. So I have one flat brush. I don't know. I'm probably going to change them out, but and I know we don't have that many options. You're working with what you have at your house right now. But while you're doing that, I just want to put on my palette some black, some white, and some gray. Now, you might not have gray paint. You might be mixing your black and white to make a gray. So, but on mine, I've got and we'll add the bright, I've got colors all over my palette really, but some of them are from earlier today and not related to this. So for this, just now I only put black, white, and gray. And we're gonna add, the bright colors are gonna kind of come at the end.
Oh, okay.
So, because it's really, this painting that we're sort of doing is, aside from the leaves, which is where all the bright colors come, it's very black and white. It's very like black, white, gray tones.
Okay.
So, tell me when y'all are done with that piece of doing the gray on the bottom part.
Marcy, what can I mix with brown to get black?
Okay, so brown won't make black, but you don't have to use black. Use it any dark color you want. Use brown. Use your brown. That'll be fine.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that'll look nice actually. Is your brown darker than your gray in value?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you can always add white to your gray to lighten it up. So yeah, use your brown. That'll actually be really nice.
Yeah.
What are we painting?
So we're painting
Is it a surprise?
a tree. It's sort of like a black and white trunk and shadow with like rainbow leaves. Can you see that? So that's kind of what I'm modeling it after. I'm not going to copy it exactly because that wouldn't be good. But we're just gonna use it to inspire is what we'll do.
I think it's perfect now.
So from there, and you can look while if you're still doing that, that's fine. I'm gonna take, I've got my flat brush right now, and the reason I'm using my flat brush, if mine's kind of small, you see that? It's kind of narrow. If you have one that's wider, that's fine too, but I wanted to use a really flat brush. I tend to like the bristles shorter than this one. I was just kind of in a hurry and I grabbed the first one that I saw, because with the shorter the bristles, the more control you have over it, but it won't pick up quite as much paint. Fluffier bristles pick up more paint, but they're a little harder to control. This is still a flat brush. So get your flat brush and put a little black on it. Or your dark, or your brown, Jamie.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna, and you can even be finishing that up. And you don't have to be exact at all. Getting a little bit more black on my brush.
So she's getting.
I'm kind of at the top of where my gray is. And just doing like, it's gonna become the tree trunk. I'll move this closer to you. It's gonna become the tree trunk. And I just did whatever movement your arm makes for the bottom. It's sort of curved at the bottom and gets a little bit narrower.
She's making her tree.
And it's okay that one of the bottoms is overlapped onto the gray and one of them isn't as much at all. So it does not have to, you know, trees are not symmetrical. So, you know, it'll look more natural if it's not symmetrical.
You don't have to.
So just 2 lines in your darker color, whether it's black or brown.
Okay, hold on. Let me put this.
And the reason I use a flat brush is because flat brushes make it really easy to get a straight line. A lot of times people think that you have to use like a really, really thin, like one little line, like one of those brushes, whatever they're called. But I think, to me, a flat brush is a lot easier to control because you get a line with just, it's broader. So you can like draw, I don't know, it's easier for me to draw a line. I can't quite describe it, which is why I don't lead these classes professionally. So I've got my 2, and it's okay if it's not quite dark. You don't need to double up the layers yet or anything. I'm gonna start to branch out now. Some of your branches you're gonna end up covering. So I just do like, I come off of the trunk and you can see like I messed up a little, I'll show you, but it's okay because I'm gonna cover it up. And like this is a part that does not have to be perfect at all. So they're almost like little V's. Okay, and those are gonna be your branches. They go in different directions. They're not straight. A tree's not symmetrical. They're not even, right? Trees are bumpy.
Here.
They're rough, they're natural, they're organic. So your movements are gonna be like that too. This is really gonna come alive once we start adding the colorful leaves, right? Because right now it's just very like monochromatic and dull. We will brighten it up. Yeah. So you're drawing your branches, you're drawing your trunk. How's everybody's day?
It was
It
good.
was nice.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
The weather was nice.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day.
How was your day?
In Colorado.
What was it like here?
Yeah.
It was warm today, finally. Like, I think we got up to almost 70.
Okay. All right. No, that's good.
Yeah, because I think middle of next week will be rainy and snow.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. Good old Colorado. But it was a good day.
So we had, what was it? Is it in the 80s today? Oh my God. Jamie?
Yeah, it was hot.
It was hot.
Amazing.
It was hot. So the only thing I'm doing now, and I'm kind of just winging it a little bit. Again, we're gonna cover it up. I'm making these like soft little short brush strokes from the right side of the trunk in toward the center. What we're gonna end up doing is we're gonna end up using some different gray values to blend it in, and that's gonna give it some dimension. So you already have your flat brush in the black, so I just from the right side of the trunk over, started making these like short, wispy, soft marks from the right side of the trunk in toward the center, and then I went up one of the branches. That's gonna be the shadow. So we're gonna get lighter toward the center, and that's what's gonna give the tree depth, and it's what's gonna make it look round, okay? So you see what it looks like? You can look at, I'll show you my brush strokes, what I was doing. I was just kind of taking paint on the brush and just, and I try to keep all the brush strokes going at the same angle. So I'm not moving my arm in different, right? And then I'm gonna pick up some of my gray. And Jamie, you can pick up some of your brown for this. And I'm just gonna connect the black to the gray, and I'm gonna blend it a little. And I'm going from that same angle that I did before, those short, wispy little strokes on the trunk. So I'm just kind of like variegating the color a little bit here. It's gonna make the tree look round, give it some dimension. I'm gonna go up more of the trunks with this middle color. Right, so this middle value color, I'm gonna go in to more of the trunks with, because not all the trunks are gonna be super dark, right? A lot of them are gonna have more of this, right?
Can you show it up closer?
Yeah, so, and it looks really messy right now. But you can see how I have the black over on this side, and then as it gets toward the middle, it lightens up with some more gray. I'm gonna add some white in there to make it just a little bit more obvious. And as it mixes with the gray, it's not gonna be stark white anymore. It's just gonna make it a lighter gray in the trunk. So just taking the white, and I haven't washed my brush yet. I mean, I'm a really messy painter. So I
What are you doing?
like don't wash my brushes off. There it goes.
Just adding it kind of like separate. Okay.
So just short wispy, right? And I'm just kind of blending it in. It's not meant to be perfect at all.
That looks like a palm tree.
That's okay. It's art. It doesn't have to be perfect.
And I'm taking the same brush and I'm just making horizontal streaks going down the gray a little bit with some of the black and some of the gray. So some of your darker and middle value colors to make sort of like a shadow. You don't want it to be the exact same gray. You want it to be a little darker than like what your background is. Because it's forming a shadow from the tree. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can go back in later and clean up your lines.
Yeah.
And I left some of my branches open. I'll show you. Because you can, a tree isn't all filled in and it's messy, and that's okay because we're going to be painting a lot of leaves on top of it. But trees, you can see through some of the branches. Some are missing, some are knotty. It's not totally filled in.
It looks like a palm tree.
I don't know what mine looks like. I feel like I did too much black.
You're fine. It's okay because we're gonna do a bunch of colors here in just a little bit.
Yeah. And I just wanted to freestyle on the colors, just make it blue, draw the colors. Yeah.
Okay. Y'all still working on am I moving too fast?
No, you're good.
We're
We're okay.
You're fine. I'm just still working on it.
Okay, y'all keep working. I'm gonna clean up some of my lines a little bit while y'all are working.
Do you want me to do it? Okay. Be careful. 2 hands. Do we have paper plates? Here, why don't you stand up and then I'll hand it to you. Oh, you got it?
And then I'm gonna get some more colors. I'll be right back.
Did you get new water? Oh, okay.
All right, I'm just getting some colors in here. I'm just putting different colors on my palette, just with whatever I have. If you guys want to go ahead and do that, if you're ready, just to add some different colors to your palette. It does not have to be rainbow color. It does not have to be, can you hear me?
No, the plastic ones. The kid plates. Go get 2 of the kid IKEA plates.
Okay.
Sending Noah on a mission.
Okay. So what I want you to do is take your color paints, whatever they are, because I know we all different stuff right now, and just do little, you don't need a whole lot of paint. This is sort of misleading because this is my palette that's just dirty from all the time. But I just did like little, this is even too much, like little squirts of paint in different colors on your palette. It doesn't matter what colors you use. You can be, you know, you can use different shades of the same color. You can use, pick your 3 favorite colors. You can do rainbow colors, whatever you want. So that's what I've done to my palette, just so it's ready and you don't have to keep searching for your different paints. So go ahead and do that. And then I picked out 3 brushes that are similar in size, but they're just, you know, it's just what I had, different shapes, so that I'm not washing my brush out every single time. I can share brushes, but I'm going to keep each brush in the same color family so it doesn't get too murky.
Hold on. That's okay. We're gonna dump this water.
Okay. You can use more than 3 brushes if you'd like. I have 3 right here.
Put your pink colors that you want to do your leaves with. Put it on here. Just little squeezes, not a lot. Okay, just leave this alone. You don't need this brush. Okay. So you want bright colors?
Just to have a mix of both.
Okay. So she said just do little squirts. And you have to remember that these, yeah. So all of our paints, because of the altitude change, squeeze out immediately.
Oh, are they exploding on you?
They're exploding everywhere.
Oh no.
Did it get on you?
No.
Okay.
Wait.
A little bit? Okay. Why don't you go wash your hands? Ah! I'm just going to fold this over so we don't get it on the... You need to just wipe your hand on there.
Okay. So you guys have your paint and your brushes, your water and your paper towels.
Okay, that's a good idea. We're getting there.
Okay.
But you
I'm
can
doing just a little bit so that I can show you what's gonna happen.
Okay. Do you want to turn the light on above us, Noah, or are you good? You good?
Yeah.
Or you definitely need a small little one. I could use a little more light. Okay. I'll do it. Wow. Yeah. Oh, geez.
Okay. So
Yeah, don't squeeze while you're opening. Okay. That's how.
I've got some brushes. I've only used 1 brush so far in my leaves. I've used 2 brushes total. 1 for the trunk and everything and 1 for the leaves. So the leaves, what I'm doing is I'm using one of my brushes to make dots, and I'm pushing lighter and not as light, so they're different sizes. The harder you push, the bigger of a dot you're going to get. The lighter you push, the smaller of a dot. You can also use different size brushes to do that. I'm just lazy and I use the same brush for everything. And you can see I'm starting to make the shape of the tree. Your tree can take a different shape if you'd like. It might be a different kind of tree than mine. But I'm starting to overlap the branches too. And I'm drawing some of the same colors over here. Now they're more sparse over here. These might be more of like the blues and the greens and stuff. I'm doing, you know, purple, pink. I'm moving into red and orange, maybe some bluish in the middle. But, you know, you can variegate your colors however you would like. This is just how I'm doing mine. And I'm going to make the leaves a lot more abundant. I just wanted to give it a start so you guys could kind of see where I was headed. So whatever colors you're using, I'm kind of doing the same color families together, but again, I'm concentrating, like I focused really on the purple right here, then started getting into the pinks, and those are a lot together. And then I dotted some red. I'm gonna do more red over here, and I dotted some orange to get them, you don't want, you know, strips of color. You don't want your tree to look striped, so you do want to have some of each color, but they're just gonna be concentrated in different ways.
Marcy, how big is the brush you're using?
And we have the one
What?
for my Michael Jackson.
Can I see your brush?
I think they're downstairs.
Want to go grab them?
Sure.
Oh, that's bigger. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
brush
probably
again?
using a bigger brush.
Good. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm just kind of picking them, you know, variegating them a little bit. I want to make it different, so I don't want the whole thing to be purple and pink, but you might want yours to be all purple and pink. You know, you could have your whole tree different shades of blue. I mean, and that would be a totally different mood than having like a rainbow effect. I mean, it's just whatever you want to do here. This is where you can use what you have. That's one of the reasons I picked this project, was because people could really use what they have in their house. Now I'm using a different brush because it's just like what I picked up. It's a different shape, but it's a similar size. This one's a little bit flatter than the other one. It's also a little bit more angled. You can't see quite because I have paint on it, but it doesn't really matter so much. I'm gonna do some of those up here. And you can, if you have acrylic paint, you can really texture. And if you want it to come off of your canvas, you can do that. So again, you're drawing your colors down into different areas of the tree so that it blends more, looks, you know, it's not gonna look natural because it's a rainbow colored tree, but if there was such a thing as a rainbow colored tree, maybe this is what it would look like, I don't know. And you can always cover up. If you think you did too much in one area, then you can cover up and come back to it. I'm adding some yellow into mine.
I can't remember where I last saw them.
That's okay. You can use the brush you have. Oh, here. You want to use this brush? Use this brush.
On my add-on.
You just dump. You just kind of.
How's it going, everybody?
Too fast. We're good.
I've never led one of these, so this is my first time doing this.
Mine doesn't look
a
like
really
yours.
awkward
I'll
angle
put that out there.
A really awkward angle. You know, so you're covering, you know, if there's a spot on a branch you don't like, then cover it up with some leaves. I want mine to be a little bit more abundant than this, I'm thinking. I want a little bit more purple over on the other side. I want to draw some of that color in over here. Not much, maybe not that much. I'm gonna take some, see, now I'm gonna take some out by concentrating some yellow.
You want to use my brush?
And you can even take some of your like little tiny skinny brushes. Let me find one. Like this isn't even that tiny. I have much tinier ones than this. But some of your real pointy, tiny, skinny brushes, and dip those in your different colors of paint to make little tiny leaves. Because maybe this, I don't know why this tree would have leaves of different sizes, but I guess it does. I just think it looks nice, like if they're kind of tumbling down a little bit.
All the time. Because nope, you don't even have to clear it. Because what happens? It kind of mixes together. Here, why don't you use this brush? I think this brush will be better. Okay. So you
can make little dots with the little paintbrush too to make it look like splatter paint. I thought about doing this as like a splatter paint thing, but then realized we're all in our houses and that's probably not a good idea. But you can kind of get at that effect by adding some little dots.
For the next color, and mix them up. There you go.
I'm gonna put some of my brushes in some water real quick.
And with all your colors. What other color did I want there, Noah? Did I just paint my nose? I don't know.
I'll show you what I have so far.
Oh, I like that, Noah. Oh, that's pretty.
Oh my gosh, that looks so good.
And you can, thanks guys, you can keep adding leaves to cover up more of the branches, or if you want more of them showing through, totally up to you, artist choice. You know, we see trees that are so full you can't see the branches, but we also see trees that are more sparse or just somewhere in the middle like this. What's that going on now so far? And you can see where like it's more concentrated with the purples and pinks over here, and then I add some reds and oranges and go to yellows over here. But I have some blues, you know, kind of through here. But there are some of like there's a little bit of yellow over here, like and a little bit of orange, not much, but it gives it dimension. And there's some purple over here too, and you might not notice it at first, but it's just something that gives it that dimension and not be so flat.
Yeah, that's okay though.
Marcy, what do you do with all your paintings? You must have a million.
So I sell them, and then I just keep them until hopefully somebody buys them. So I do have, sometimes I don't have much inventory. I happen to have a lot of inventory right now, but like, I'm not going to keep this. I'll paint over it at some point. I probably, unless like Mason sees it and he really wants it for his room, which could likely happen. And in which case I will keep it. Yeah, I happen to have more inventory now than I might typical. So what I'm doing right now, I don't know if you can see me, I'm adding some leaves in the same exact colors, maybe just with a little smaller brush, to the base of the tree.
Little leaves. Just
like little dots. And of course I'm using the same brush, so their colors are getting murky, but it's just what I do. I feel like that's part of my style. Is that a style, not washing your brush off?
Sounds like it.
We're gonna say yes.
It's also just annoying to wash.
It is, so I don't. And then I feel like some of the coolest effects that way.
Marcy, do you have a website?
I do. It's marcystagner.com. Easy enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me look at it.
It needs updating, just heads up. So I'm adding some leaves to the base in the same colors as if they'd fallen from the tree.
Wait, can you show me that again?
Yeah, and I noticed looking at my tree that I actually have a lot more orange in my leaves than I do on the ground. So I'm about to add in some more orange so that it mimics
Wash out
the tree. Doesn't have to mimic the pattern, but like mimicking the like amount of color that's there, if that makes sense.
Be very careful.
So fun. I almost put my brush in my wine. That wouldn't have been good. And I've almost taken a sip of paint water before. That's also not good. So make sure you know which cup you're drinking out of. That's the important lesson in painting. Painting 101, know which one is the water cup for your brushes and which one is for you.
When do you find time to paint?
When the kids go to bed. After they go to bed at night, I paint sometimes, and I don't paint every day. If I don't have time, or if it's making me more stressed out to find the time, then I don't do it. So a lot of times I do it after they go to bed if I'm not too tired. But then I will also, they're old enough now, you know, my youngest is 3, so now I've started to be able to paint a little bit when they're awake sometimes, you know, like if they're playing together, and then I can paint sometimes.
Right.
But not for very long. It's in short spurts.
Yeah.
And our house is set up in such a way that so it's a ranch style house. So everything's on one floor. And I use my dining room as my studio, and my entryway is where my easel is, which is right next to the playroom. So I'm right next to them if they're in the playroom.
The gold. I mean, where on your painting?
Okay, my tree is like not blended at all.
Let's see it. It's okay. You know what? You're looking at it up close. You're never going to look at it up close when it's on the wall.
It's like the actual tree part.
So yeah, the trunk. So there's more of a stark line down the middle.
Yeah.
Are you blending it with white to get the lighter color? Is that what you did?
I mean, I tried. I just didn't know.
Take either your darker color and add just a little bit more white. So you need an in-between color.
Okay.
To do in the middle with the same brush strokes. Did you order these supplies, or did you already have them in your house?
I already had them.
Good for
But
you.
like this has probably been, it's like actually not even straight. Like it's just been sitting in a closet for so long. And it's kind of marked up.
Yeah, that's okay.
But no, I'm super crafty, so I already had all the paints and brushes
Yeah.
and stuff. But I've like always wanted to do
But maybe
these classes, and I never have.
Yeah. So we haven't painted the background behind the tree where the ground meets the sky.
black right here.
Oh yeah.
You can do, sometimes what I'll do in a situation like this, let me see what I'm going to show you as an example. Get this.
I want to do something that's a tree, but then there's like spikes.
Okay.
So it's like a beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So I got some water on my brush, and I'm just going to get a little of the light gray, not much. I'm going to mix it with the water. This is called making a wash. And I've got kind of a wide flat brush, although the one I got, it's not that big. It could be wider, but I'm using a flat brush so I can kind of control the edges a little better, mixing paint with water to create a wash. And what that's doing, I'm just mixing it together right now. What that's doing is it's just going to create this really light, transparent effect in the background. I'm going to get some more water for this real quick because it's too thick.
That's probably far enough out, don't you think?
I'm
One more?
gonna add over some.
And I think what I'm going to do also, everybody, I don't know. I kind of want, you know, shadows sometimes have almost like a bluish or a purplish tint to them. I'm gonna add a tiny, like the teeniest bit of purple you've ever seen into my gray wash. So it's a really watered down, yeah, that looks nice. So it's like a purplish grayish color I have going on. It might be too thick, let's see. I'm just gonna try. And I'm just gonna make like, almost like an ethereal, like, yeah, and I'm just gonna spread it outward. You want it to be really transparent. This is almost too thick. I want it to be even lighter than this, but I can add water to it even on the canvas to make it lighter. I just want a wash, because I remember my second grade art teacher
This on the towel.
never to leave the canvas white, even if you want the background to be white, to still paint it white. And I never understood that until I started painting more. But I don't know. I'm just where the ground, you don't have to do this. I don't know, maybe I just messed it up. I just wanted it to have something else. I want to add more water to this is what I want to do. This is still too thick.
Oh,
It just gives it like this shadowy, like,
Your thing.
I don't know what it gives it. Maybe it messed it up.
Oh, your tree here? Is that what you want?
And I'm kind of spreading out the paint so that you don't see the brush strokes as much to make it more even on the background. It's a little hard to do. I should have gotten a bigger brush. But look, we're working with what we have right now, right? I don't know. Okay, so full disclosure, I regret adding that. Full disclosure, I regret this.
And then you add.
But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring my water over here.
Yep, you can do. So you want to kind of blend it all together, right? Blend it.
And the beauty of acrylic paint, let's see what happens. I'm gonna get my brush really wet. Try not to spill this thing of water. And I've got my paper towels here too. You can actually lift paint. I don't want to cover this up with white because there's no, after painting the tree, there's no way I can get close enough to have paint around all those leaves, and I don't want it to be a different color or texture even slightly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just wash this down with some water and put some paper towel on it, and you can see it's lifting the paint off. Look. I'm actually lifting the paint off.
Oh yeah.
Because I don't like it. A lot of times if I don't like something, I'll just leave it and paint over it. But that's like the kind of style that I do. In my personal painting, that's not going to work here. This is not the style that I typically paint in, but the style that I typically paint in, you guys have seen, is not conducive to a sipping and painting. That would be crazy.
So now get some white.
I'm going to get one of my, so one tool that I really love, I think they're very underrated, are these really cheap sponge brushes. Do you guys remember these?
Mm-hmm.
Now
I use
what?
these all the time, and they come in different sizes.
Yeah, I love
They're
them.
so cheap, and they like get ruined really fast. I go through them like crazy. But I love them, and I'm really rough on my brushes and stuff. But like they're cheap, so like
Great.
I don't know.
Do you want gray?
They hold more water and they hold more paint, and I'm really rough on my tools, and I like to be able to scrub things.
Oh, I think it's
Like I'm really rough on my canvases and stuff. I'm just lifting the paint off. So if you did not do what I just did, you don't need to lift your paint off. And if you might like yours, so if you like yours, leave it. I mean, this is just me. I don't like the way that turned out, so I'm just lifting some of it off. Here we go. So it's still, if I work hard enough, I'll get the edge off too. But I'm just gonna leave it for right now, for our purposes right now. And you can just kind of keep messing with it. If you want to add a little bit more detail, you can take your brush into your darkest color, your black, and do some more lines on the ground. More black. So you can do.
So babe, just do light. You don't need to
add some more of those strokes.
What do I like do now again?
Okay, so we're gonna brush this way. That's how you, so you don't want it to be just
It's just in general. And always sign your work.
okay, and then we're gonna,
It's just in general. Oop, I just soaked my paper towel.
and then a little bit less, you're just gonna.
How's it going, everybody?
We're good. Noah's on his second one. He's decided to
Oh,
try.
no, you're quick.
We'll see how it goes. I told him his first one reminded me of a volcano.
Ooh, I like that. It does. I can see that.
Oh, cool.
You guys have any painting or art questions?
I mean, I'm sure I do, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't know like how to even phrase it.
Are you wanting to
No.
get into painting, Jamie?
It's
Or-
like something like I wish I could do, but like for some people it just doesn't come naturally. But like you can still like
Yeah,
do it.
absolutely. You know, I mean, I always tell people there's a reason I paint abstract. I mean, if you wanted me to paint a realistic looking tree even, I mean, I would hit my skill limit there. But like I'm good with colors and I'm good with abstract, and I look at stuff that I did even 2 years ago and it's so different. It's really interesting to see the progression. Yeah, so like take pictures of your stuff if you keep doing it so you can look back.
How many seconds to get off?
You can actually see your progression. That's really motivating for me when I feel like I'm no good or like I haven't made any progress. I go back and look at things that I did even just, a year ago or 2 years ago, and I can see the progression. I mean, I'll show you guys, I'll show you some of my earlier stuff and
Here,
see if you can see it. I mean, you'll notice a big difference.
Maybe.
Yeah, I'd want to see it. I just think like I just love doing things that take your mind away.
Yeah.
And just relax you, and like crafts and things, puzzle, like stuff like that. Do that for me.
Yeah. Okay, so here's an earlier one. I don't know if you can see this. And that's unfinished, but I painted over it because I didn't like it. Okay, so that's an earlier one. And then this is one, or even like this. I mean, you can kind of see, it's a picture of it on my art table. But that was, I was like really proud of this. But now you can see, I don't know, I think things are better now. Like I did this one yesterday.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a big difference, right?
So did you take lessons, or you just
No.
kind of?
Well, I was an art major in college.
Oh, okay.
Just for a year, just for like 2 semesters. And then I switched to education. And I've always done art. I've always done something. And I just got back into painting after a hiatus probably 4 years ago.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But I did metalwork, like I made my husband's wedding band.
Oh, cool. So you just have all these things at home?
No, when I started getting back into painting, I started small and got like, a couple brushes here and some cheap paints. And then, then I would get a little bit more and realize I wanted a different color, and I'd go get a different color. And then I realized that I liked a certain color in a different brand. It's just part of doing it.
You don't have to have it.
I don't have a.
Okay, so what do you do with the sides? Yeah, like, do you paint
So
them?
you can paint them or you can leave them. You have like 3 options. So if your background is white, you can leave it all white. What you can do is you can wrap the gray at the bottom around and leave the top white just so it matches your horizon lines. Or you can paint it a totally different color to give it a frame. Like a very general rule of thumb when framing art, whether it's in an actual frame or you're painting around the edge of the painting, is you don't want to see the frame before you see the art, if that makes sense. So if you put black around the whole thing, it would give it like a good strong frame, but depending on what it was, it might take your eye away from the actual art. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Very folly.
So yeah, I just added a little bit more shadow to one side on the darker side so it matches, right? You don't want like some of your like your darkest part of your trunk to be on one side of the tree, but then the darkest part of the ground on the other opposite side. That wouldn't make sense, right? The sun is coming from one direction, so the same side is going to have the shadow. Right? The sun in this case is coming from over here, which makes sense because my lighter colors of the tree are over here too. Right? The sun is going shh, and that's why there's a shadow over here.
That does make sense. It does not work.
Logically. Well, if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to let me know.
Thank you, Marcy. This was so awesome.
Yeah.
That looks
Will you post your, if you're comfortable, post your finished stuff on the cultural arts page? You don't have to if you're not comfortable.
I'll comment that I like the
Okay. All right. Well, it's good to see you guys, and I'll see y'all soon.
red spice.